I'm making a horror game called Cryptid Hunter, and it's got one major problem. It's not actually scary. So, in today's devlog, I will be fixing that. And trust me, the results will shock you. The first thing I did in order to make the game a lot scarier was to take a closer look at how the darkness mechanics work. So, in order to emphasize darkness more, I ended up adding post-processing to the game. By increasing the contrast, I made all the dark areas in the game significantly darker, and the bright areas brighter, and then just a small decrease to the overall brightness keeps the bright areas exactly the same as they were before, but the darkness is now a lot harder to see in. Then, after throwing a slight bump to the saturation to make the game just look a bit nicer, I ended up nerfing the passive light that's around the player, so you don't always have a bright area around you, but I did buff the area and brightness of the flashlight, so that mechanic is now a lot more useful, as in previous playtests I knew people were saying that the flashlight was pretty useless, so by reworking the darkness like this, I have balanced that mechanic a lot more. And then finally, I also made the CRT effect just a little bit more noticeable to make the image appear a bit darker without actually taking away from your visibility. Again, just a nice touch to overall add that creepy, dark vibe. And then everything together has, again, made the game darker and harder to see in, which is great for horror. This isn't just darkness anymore. This is advanced darkness. What really makes horror, though, isn't necessarily the visuals, but the audio. So that's exactly what I worked on next. And because I can't think of anything in a game that's scarier than Minecraft cave noises, I decided to take inspiration from that. In the game now, I've implemented this ambient sound system, which will randomly select a sound effect from a pool that I have provided, and then apply a random amount of volume and pitch to it to make them just a little more distinct even from with the pool within. And these are just, small sound effects like twigs snapping, birds chirping, or my favorite, elks, which is genuinely a terrifying sound. I cannot believe this is real. And hearing these randomly throughout the game and second guessing whether it's footsteps from an enemy or just a random event that happened really adds to the eerie vibe and that you're being watched by something out there. Especially since we have things in the game already, like the Dover Demon, which will randomly follow you with faint footsteps and then attack you when you're vulnerable. So there are genuine threats that these sounds could be indicating, which makes it so much worse. And when you're listening out for these slight and subtle sound effects, the louder ones like enemy barks upon spawning you are going to startle you more because you've tuned your ear for the softer sounds. And I know this because I genuinely got scared while playtesting this feature. That's how effective this was at adding just eerie ambience to the game. And if that doesn't tell you that this system was well designed, I don't know what else. And then on top of the random sound effects, I also have manual triggers for individual sounds that I can place on the level. This has been in the game pretty much since I unveiled it, but I think it is relevant to kind of bring it up here, just to go along with the ambient noises. So how I use them in the level currently is you can just hear the Bigfoot roar as you get closer to the boss fight as an indication of progress and a slight, fear factor. And, I can do that with other sound effects. I think in a rain level, I can have thunder as both an ambient sound or play at specific sections to maybe try and startle you and other things like that. Yeah, that's about it for this audio section. With the random sounds adding more life to the environment through the audio, it's also important that we add more life through visuals as well. To accomplish this, I added some particle effects. These can be found on smoke billowing off campfires and held dynamite. Whenever you enter grass now, it will shoot out a bit of blades of grass as you walk through it. And then finally, leaves will slowly and occasionally fall off trees, just adding a bit more life to all these different aspects of the environment. This also emphasizes certain actions, such as finding a campfire. In order to save your checkpoint, get that bit of hope from the smoke that you can spot from far away, even when the campfire itself isn't on screen. Additionally, running through grass, now that it's got the added particle effect, on top of the sound and animation it had before, really emphasizes that action and makes you feel like you're interacting with the environment itself more. This also allows for second guessing if what you're seeing is moving. Is that a monster moving through the woods, or was it just a leaf? Additionally, using the same particle effect system, I added leaves as this sort of like weather effect that will like slowly fall. This is kind of just a temporary thing for me to showcase the fact that I can do weather effects in the game now, and this will be further expanded in rain and snow, which will be added later. But for now, we just have the occasional falling leaf to really emphasize the forest environment, and again, just add a little more life to the game. And then just a final like technical note about how the particles themselves work is that they're triggered by usually like the visibility of the object they're attached to. So a tree won't have any leaf particles if it's not on the screen. This is also how certain lighting effects work, such as the lampposts. And this just optimizes the game a lot more, and I want to emphasize that. So like, even though I'm adding these additional effects, they don't really come at like a huge performance cost because I am intelligently only showing what is absolutely necessary. Overall, I think the particle effects do exactly what I set out for them to do, which is just make the environment feel more alive. Things like trees will do things irrespective of your actions, while things like grass will respond to player input and will have a reaction to what you're doing. And I think that really elevates it beyond just a static level with random prefab objects into an actual environment. Finally, on top of the actual making the game itself scarier, I did make a lot of other general gameplay improvements to just make the experience feel a lot smoother. The first of these is that every button in the menu will now prompt you and will tell you what buttons you need to press and what will happen when you press it. It's usually something small like select or buy or sell, but it does help explain what you're doing, especially in cases like being able to use the right mouse button for certain actions like dropping an item or lowering the volume instead of increasing it, because I didn't explain that you could do those things before. So this is just a really simple way of implementing something like that and makes the menus a lot clearer to go through. Further going off that line of making the menus a lot clearer, I used the pickup indicator system to add a bit more emphasis on certain things. So now not only will it trigger when picking up an item, but also when buying items, selling items, or dropping them, just to further cement what you're doing and give you just an added bit of feedback. Not the craziest thing, but it does help the game feel. Another small thing is that certain items will now play a distinct sound effect when being used. It's like the bandage, you'll hear an unwrap when using it. The batteries will make a little clicking when you insert them into the flashlight, or sleeping bags will unzip when you're using it. Just a very simple way of adding a bit of feedback for using certain items and reassuring you that yes, when I clicked that button, I did use a bandage and not a battery. Just a really simple baseline thing that does overall help the feel of the game and make your actions feel more impactful. I also gave more sound effects to the player's footsteps. Prior to this, it was one sound effect that would randomize its pitch. Now there are 3 sound effects that also still randomize the pitch, which it's not even that major of a thing, but it just makes the audio feel a little less repetitive and does add a bit more variety to the sound effect, which you'll be hearing for literally the whole game. So this was pretty important despite being such a small addition. And finally, last but not least, I fixed controller support. This has been the final boss of this project, which has consistently been an absolute pain to work through, but has always been a major sticking point of playtests. So today, I am actually sitting down and fixing it. Mainly to start is that the controller aiming before would snap to the 4 directions, so up, down, left, right. I couldn't figure out how to fix that up until now, where I redid the code for it, and now it will smoothly rotate around the entire analog, which makes aiming way easier. I also then reworked the aim assist to now use a circle cast, and then points at the point of contact, making your input still contribute to aim assist, where the prior system would just immediately lock onto any target. So this was a very nice change that makes aiming feel way smoother. And then finally, I also implemented reach-bindable controls. This has been in the menu for so long, but I just never implemented it. It's always said TBD, but I finally sat down and worked on it, and boy, did it take a while. But I think the results are worth it, especially with some dynamic things like when you change the inventory button for a keyboard, that will update the back button so that you can hit that. I needed to make sure that you couldn't use click, because that's how you hit the buttons. So if you were able to click to open the inventory and then that was the back button, that wouldn't work. So I had to implement use cases for that, but it all works great now. and I'm very happy with it. These additions were honestly the bulk of the work, and honestly, I know I, pivoted this video as like the one where I make the game actually scary, but this was mostly a game feel video that had some graphic improvements that I think did help the fear factor of the game. And that's everything I added. I think the game is for sure 100% better than it was last time I left off. The game feels so much better to play now. Menus are way clearer, the environment feels way more alive, and the game functions a lot better than it used to, and I think this is a night and day difference between the last build and now. It even just looks so much prettier and has so much more going for it, and I'm really excited to continue working because I am so proud of what I was able to accomplish in this video. Stay tuned for next time because it's time to put the cryptids in Cryptid Hunter. We are adding new enemies next episode, so subscribe if you want to see that. And if you want to playtest the changes I made in this video, there will be a link in the description. It's completely free to try while we're still in this early phase. While I do want to still get ready for that Steam release, but we still have a good amount of work to do before we get there. So stay tuned, subscribe, like the video, and comment down below. What do you want to see? What additions do you think were cool? Is there anything you could think I could build off of with what I added in this video? Really, anything. I would love to hear it. The more feedback I get on this game, the better. And yeah, that's about it. See you.